Hey there, everybody, it's Wayne D. Welcome to the website. Today we're going to do a side-by-side of the two guys that fought it out for the U.S. Amateur Championship. Here on the right, that's John Augenstein. Vanderbilt University's going to be a senior. And then here on the left, it's Andy Ogletree. Ogletree came back and won eventually. So we've got two very different swings. We've got two very different body sizes. Ogletree obviously is taller. Both these guys are super strong. You got Augenstein is more of the Schauffele type. It's a little shorter, but very, very strong. We've got the Dustin Johnson type in Ogletree, taller but very lean and super, what I would call maybe hypermobile or flexible. He's got great range of motion. And let's take a look. So play these swings one more time at regular speed. So it's probably pretty noticeable right away that the Ogletree swing is much more away from him and up. So let's watch the movement. Let me get the guys a little closer to each other here. So let's check out Ogletree. Let's check out his takeaway. The camera angles are pretty close. You can see they're teeing up a little different spot on this tee box here. Ogletree's a little more on the left side than Augenstein, which is interesting because Augenstein's going to hit more of a draw. So at the setup, it appears that Ogletree is more balanced in his feet, or even maybe just slightly toward the heels, while Augenstein would appear to be a little bit more out toward the balls of his feet. So it's not surprising when we look at the trigger motions that Ogletree is going to go up and maybe even a little forward. And Augenstein's trigger from that balls of the feet setup is going to be more triggering away. So he's going to start out over it there. And he's going to pull back. So Augenstein's going to create a tremendous amount of depth and load into that right hip. So that's really deep there. And as you watch him do that, his hands are going to go a little more inward toward him, and the right arm is going to stay extremely straight. So this is a huge stretch, reach away with added depth. So he's really going to max out on coiling up his muscles there. You can see the right arm stays well in front of him. The right forearm is pretty vertical here. And that left wrist is really flat right up here. Now we're going to take a look at Ogletree. He's going to be more outward in his takeaway. So you might call that a little less in, a little straighter back maybe. And like I said, his motion is going to be a little bit of a tiny lift and then a forward move where he is going to lower himself to the top. But his left arm is going to travel more up his chest here. So that connection point in the left arm, here Augenstein's going to be tightening up into his chest more as he deepens. So as you look at Ogletree, his right arm way softer right from the start. He's going to have it much more bent. He's going to let it flare a little bit, so that forearm angle at the top is going to be more toward him. Now, being already a little bit more in the middle of his feet, you would not expect Ogletree to be getting way deeper. In fact, he just barely stays on the wall with the right cheek. But again, remember, he's moved himself a little forward, and now the key is going to be what happens in transition. So here's where they continue to be extremely different in the way they approach the golf swing here in transition. So again, let's look at the height factor. So Ogletree is going to be lifted a little bit. He's going to lower. He's going to lower some more. So just as most of the good players do, they're both going to end up much lower when they hit the ball than they are when they set up. So especially Augenstein, look how down that is. So you don't see too many lower than that, or more side bent in the follow through than Augenstein. So for a smaller guy, that is just a ton of bend in there. So again, as usual, we see the pivot motion compressing consistently. And both these guys, as they're hitting the ball, will lower instead of the upper body appearing to jump or lift. We're going to see the pelvis elevate a little bit as they drive off the ground and squeeze. Take a look at the glute squeeze on the Ogletree here. Now look at Augenstein. He's going to get way down in there. And look how he's so back. He's so in the box. And I always say the hardest thing, and this is when you see elite players, the hardest thing really is to be as bent over into and through impact as these guys get. So look where Ogletree's head ends up. I mean, you don't see that very often. That's just way out there. So here we so this is just physically so difficult to get into these positions. If you try to get in there in slow motion, or if I put you there, you would be having a hard time taking a breath. So, but to me, the biggest difference in these two guys is that transition. So check out Ogletree's movement from the top of the swing. So we draw the high line down from the grip back onto the bottom of the plane. You can see the hands go right out at the ball. Now, it's a little blurry, but you'll check it out. Check out where that shaft is going. It's here now. So a crazy amount of shallowing. And if you watch the right arm from that flared position, he's going to have to really adduct it hard in here. And he's going to add some right forearm supination to get that, twist that shaft back like that. And now he's going to turn that left wrist. You can see it here. He's going to turn that left wrist down and get into a beautiful position down here. And then if you look at Augenstein, he's not going to do that at all. He's going to take the entire package here and drop it behind him. So look at the hand direction there. So I didn't have to draw Ogletrees because his hands went right at the ball. Look where Augenstein's go. They go down behind him. Now, because he's kept the right arm so in front of him when he drops that thing down, he doesn't get the arm stuck so much. But he is going to have a hard time keeping that shaft from getting stuck behind him. But the guys are so strong now, and they utilize so much of that left wrist flexion and left forearm supination to get that face around. It doesn't seem to be much of a problem. Now, another really neat thing, and you'll see this all the time in the release, you can see that Ogletree's probably got a little bit more upper back flexibility. Look where that left forearm is. And you can see Augenstein's. But in both cases, that right wrist, full release. So if you're going to hit the ball as hard as these guys are hitting it, there's no holding on to anything, even on a fade. It's a full release with the right. So there you have it. That was a fun match to watch. Ogletree did a great job playing in the afternoon, caught up, and won the thing. So there you go.